Alright, y'all. I'm back again with another video. And Pelicans lose an OT 117 to 115. Washington Wizards beat them. And a lot of stuff happened in this game. A lot of stuff happened in this game. But let's get into this. Lonzo didn't have a good game back, and I kind of figured this was going to happen. He's missed quite a few games. He just didn't look like he was in his normal flow of things, and not playing for a couple games will do that to you. Turn this off. All right. So yeah, not being in your rhythm because you miss games that'll happen. Okay, but defense travels. He did a really good job on pretty much anybody he guarded today, but mainly uh, Russ and Bill had a hard time, and so much so that I think Bill kind of got permanently put out of his rhythm with Lonzo on him. Russ kind of got to his places a little bit, and so he was able, I think, to mitigate a little bit of what was going on. But it was most of the time Zoe was on Bill, and he pretty much did his job. He did his job. Can't complain about that. But the guy couldn't hit worth a damn. You know, um, I don't even know what stats he had, so I can't even say posted stats. But I know he was on a minutes restriction. He didn't get to play much. Really, the stats probably don't even matter. They're probably atrocious. I know he didn't get more than like 4 or 6 points, something like that. He missed all 7 or 8 of his threes. Yeah, he was just off his rhythm. Um, but defensively, he was really good tonight. Um, but let me put Lonzo to the side. Like I said, he only played like 20 minutes. Um, they went into overtime, and I know people were complaining on Twitter that he wasn't playing uh, the first half of the fourth. Well, I already figured out what it was because I was like, if they weren't going to play him, and I had it in the back of my mind, it's like if they didn't play him, he was coming in the last 5 minutes to close. And kudos to Stan for that. But if we're going to talk about, playtime, I don't think Lonzo should have started this game. I think what should have happened is they should have played him like they did KD. They should have let him play off the bench. And that way he wasn't sitting as long. Granted, he wasn't in his rhythm anyway, but I think that would have boded better for them if they had just let him um, come off the bench, come off with the bench unit. I know that's asking a lot, but I think that would have been better for the team for tonight. Because there was a point where, he came out around 7 minutes, six and a half of the third, and he didn't touch the court again until like the last 5 minutes of the game. Well, that's like 30, 40 minutes of not moving. Your body's not warm. You know what I'm saying? So I think that would have been better for him. But even though, his shot wouldn't fall, he still made his presence known on the defensive end. Um, Another point of reference here. I keep telling you guys your position based off of, the number one, two, three, four, or point guard, shoot guard. All of that is irrelevant. It's about what your role is. Now, I keep telling people Lonzo could be called a shooting guard all day. I don't give a damn. Is he going to command the offense when it's time? That's what I care about. Lonzo did exactly that for play in the fourth quarter. One of the few times he actually got to touch the ball. Kicked the ball down to Zion, who I don't remember who the Wizards player was that he had on him. I think the guy's name is Sato. Zion couldn't penetrate, so he gives the ball up. Lonzo says, no, get your beep back in the post, and you're gonna take your mismatch like a man. What does Zion do? He gets back in the post, he gets fed, he scores the bucket. I've constantly told you guys, I want to see the action, the assertiveness, the take charge from Zoe. That's what makes me not lose hope in Zoe because he understood what time it was. He saw the mismatch. Look, we ain't finna reset up shit. Fuck BI, Steven Adams, bless all them niggas. Fuck them. It's me and you right here. Matter of fact, it's all you. I'm gonna give you back the ball. You got the mismatch. Nobody can help. Beat your man. That is what you expect of a point guard. Command and run the offense. Who gives a fuck that he's a quote unquote shoot guard? What is he doing? What is he doing to affect the game while he's on the court? What is his role? He's the what? A secondary playmaker, floor spacer, and your best perimeter defender. What did he do? Point Zion, get in the post, beat the smaller guy because you got the advantage. And what does Zion do? Follows orders, submits to the will of the playmaker, the primary playmaker at that point, which was Zoe. And he wins this matchup. I don't know how many times I got to tell you guys this. You do not have to have the ball in your hand the entire game and run offense and dictate offense. You don't. When you do have the ball, make it count. Make it count. Get guys where they need to be. Make it count. And I'll tell you something. When Zoe was not out there, I watched dry spells where the Pelicans seemed to struggle or to take bad shots. B.I. bailed him out because B.I. was just good. I'm not going to say he was great, but he was really good. He was great in the beginning, but his play kind of fell apart later. I thought he was great in the fourth quarter, though, for the most part, at least the first couple minutes. But to the point, you got to go out there and do your job. You got to execute at the end of the day. Handle your business. Now, let's talk about. Actually, before we talk about the overtime, let's talk about Najee Marshall. Here's the thing. I hadn't watched much of him prior to him actually getting minutes on the Pelicans. Let me say this. Josh Hart is good. He may even be better. But I can promise you this, that gap is not that far off. And let me tell you something else. Najee Marshall is a good three-point shooting shot away from being far better than Josh Hart. Now, hear me out. Josh Hart's going to play hard. He's going to play with energy. He's going to go get you rebounds. He's going to attack the basket. But the one thing that Josh Hart cannot do is what Najee Marshall does do. Now, Najee won't be the rebounder that Josh Hart is, but he's going to give you effort on defense. He's going to try hard. But he's got two things over Josh Hart. Two, he's got a better handle, and he's a much better decision maker / passer. And it is evident when he is in the game, he consistently gets the ball and makes smart decisions. Josh Hart with the ball stalls the offense because he don't know what to do. He is uncomfortable. That's not the way he needs to play. Najee Marshall could come into the game, could get dribble penetration, and make the proper or appropriate pass to the open guy or to the correct guy and get you easy points. That stuff is winning basketball. And I'm gonna tell you this: if the Pelicans don't want to pay Josh Hart, you better be paying Najee Marshall, because he does most of everything that Josh Hart can do. Now I'll take Josh Hart's finishing around the basket. I'll take Josh Hart's running in transition. I think I'll even take Josh Hart if we're talking about mismatches. I think I like him over Najee versus like some of the bigger small forwards and power forwards, and in some rare cases centers. But Najee Marshall is another playmaker that this team sorely needed. And so I'm glad that he's been playing good recently. The optimal thing for the Pelicans to do is to keep both. I hope they keep both. Even if Lonzo isn't here and thus my fanning of the Pelicans goes away, I hope they're smart enough to keep both. Because guys like that don't grow on trees. Now, let's talk about, the last couple minutes of the fourth quarter and overtime. Pelicans couldn't hit shit. And there was constantly turnovers all over the game. Sloppy looking basketball. Sloppy basketball that was really saved by Lonzo Ball playmaking to some degree, but he didn't really touch the ball enough for it to matter. But look, Bledsoe and Steven Adams, when you can ignore them and stockpile the defense to take out BI and Zion, you have a problem. And I was having this discussion with someone on Twitter. Here's the issue, guys. If we're in the playoffs, think about this. You can sag off of Bled and Steven Adams right now. We ain't in the playoffs. What happens when we're in the playoffs? They're going to do the same thing. Now, here's the issue. I've constantly said I don't think B.I. and Zion is a perfect fit. And I would have traded B.I. I would have traded B.I. to get a better player or better fit. Honestly, I would try to see if I could do, I would have tried to do Zach LaVine for B.I. straight up. I think Zach LaVine is better, and his skill set complements Zion better than BI. But the more important pressing issue here is on offense. Until Zion gets to a point where he's a perimeter player too, the places that he wants to be is also where BI wants to be. And because of that, they're going to always pull defenders into each other. So when the game gets tight and gets tough, think about it. BI wants to be in that painted area near the elbow, right? Zion wants to be in the painted area closer to the rim. That's not very far on the court. That's maybe a step. So if I take BI and I move him to the elbow and his defender is in front of him, and Zion is in the lower part of the paint and his defender is boxing him out. And let's just say we got Steven Adams on the opposite side of the rim and no one's guarding him, which means this man can roam between Zion and BI. Where can they go to get a shot? Nowhere. And that's the problem. That is the freaking problem. You can't play make for space. Now, if there was more space on the court, you could kind of make it work. You know, if you drop Steven Adams and let's just say we put in, for all intents and purposes, let's just put in uh, Bogdanovich. Okay? Let's just say we play small ball. We put in Bogdanovich instead of Steven Adams. So that means whoever was Steven Adams' man got to guard Bogdanovich. They got to come out and guard him. Now you got more space to work with, and Zion and BI a little bit more effective. But right now, it ain't going to work. You got three guys in one place all the time. All the freaking time. It's never going to work. And here's the thing. If Zion could be more of a perimeter player, which probably won't happen in his career, it fixes it. But that ain't Zion's game, and it never was Zion's game. If you put like a Zach LaVine in place of BI, he likes that perimeter. He's fast and athletic enough to beat his guy off the dribble and attack the rack, but he likes to be on the perimeter. His space and where he wants to operate is completely separate from Zion's. So you can't use extra men to guard either one of them. That is a huge problem. And it was showing its ugly head in the late game. Especially when you got guys like Brandon Ingram who are putting up these monster numbers and having to go through all this extra effort to try to get space to shoot. And your legs are getting tired. It's not the same. Like, sure, the first couple quarters or so, you start off good. The second half, his scoring fell off a freaking cliff. Now, he picked it up in overtime, the first half of overtime, but in the latter half of overtime, just didn't have it anymore. It was too much. Now, let's talk about Zion real quick. Zion got in foul trouble, okay? And so he didn't play. He played like, it was crazy. Lonzo played more the first half than Zion did. Zion comes into the second half, and he's pretty good on the fouls until like the last part of the game, where he picks up foul after foul after foul. And OT, I'm going to skip into OT. OT comes down to one final shot by Russell Westbrook, and Zion has 5 fouls. Zion, inadvertently, but he does it, fouls Russell Westbrook, who is taking a long two. Just taps, grazes his elbow, and that's his 6th foul, which forces Stan to have to use his challenge to try to save Zion from himself because there was only a second left on the clock. If the challenge is successful, it doesn't matter if Russ makes both free throws or not, because you get the rebound, you call timeout. If he makes it, you can still call timeout. If they win that challenge, they don't lose that timeout. But because they lost it, Zion gets his 6th foul and is out of the game. And you can't play Lonzo at all because he's already hit his 20-minute restriction. So now what do you have? And I was saying this. This is what I suggested on Twitter. I said Lonzo may have a minute restriction on active play, but what Lonzo could easily do is sit there on the takeout and heave the ball down the court. I would have put Lonzo Ball in, took out Steven Adams, and I would have put in Willie Hernangomez and every athletic shooter I got on the team, and keep B.I. in. Lonzo gets to chuck the ball. If you get the ball, shoot it. Period. In the discussion. Because all he's doing is throwing the ball. He's not actively running. He's not doing anything. I don't see the point with him taking the ball out and heaving it down court. I'm just saying. I would, and that's the way I think. I'm bending and breaking rules to the best of my ability. Like we used to say in the military, it's only cheating if you get caught. But look, Pelicans should have won this game. There was no reason for them to lose this game. But they lost it. They lost it to turnovers. They lost it to missed free throws. They lost it to stupidity. There's reasons all over this game why they lost the game, but ultimately they just lost because they fucking suck. We can blame Stan, and he's culpable to some of this. Definitely so. We could blame Lonzo for missing shots, because he did, but I mean, he just came back off an injury and he was on minutes restriction, okay? But still, if you're playing, you need to go out there and knock down your shots. No excuse, Lonzo. Be better, be a better shooter, be smarter about picking your shots. Zion and these tic-tac fouls, they started attacking him in the pick and roll. And this is going to be Zion's career probably. I'm not sure if he'll ever get better defensively, but be good enough on defense that they can't attack you. And I know his plate is big, literally and figuratively speaking, but I think Stan and them have to realize we got to have to take some of this offensive workload off of Zion and give it to either B.I. or Lonzo. Because we can't expect him to play defense and then expect him to have to go and crash the boards and get all these points. You're putting a lot, and then he's got to, run point guard. That's a lot. I've always said don't completely eliminate something, but just put it in a manageable zone. B.I.'s defense wasn't all that good, but B.I., he gotta. It's hard because he it's really not his fault, but it's his fault. The places he want to be, he has no choice but to try to get there, and he's trying to fight through 3 or 4 defenders, part of Zion and Adams or Zion and Bled. It's hard. I get it. He was amazing in the first half, playmaking, jump shots all over the court. He was phenomenal. Second half, he was butt cheeks. First half of overtime, he was good. Second half of overtime, I thought he sucked. We got to get more consistency from him somehow. Athletic rim protecting. Look, I don't know what the Pels are going to do this offseason, but they got to get off of that Steven Adams contract, which means they're going to have to get off of him. Jackson Hayes should have that spot, who went out with back spasms. I think that also affected the game. Kudos to Gafford on the other team. He was a monster. He was a monster defensive presence. Like, that was an excellent pickup by the Wizards. Like, he was putting it on Zion. And I know he dunked on him, and I think Antonio Daniels brought this up. Like, he probably remembered that, and he was out there playing like he was pissed off at him for dunking on him early in the season. So, that was funny. But hey, kudos to him. He played his butt off. Other than that, man, look, it's the same old ish, different day. Oh, one more thing before I get off of here. Fred Vinson. He has got to be in the gym with Zion, Jackson Hayes, and Kira this offseason. They have to be able to shoot. That there's going forward, those guys are going to have to be able to shoot. And this, even if Zoe isn't on the team, Kira missing jump shots and open threes is terrible. Yes, he hit one in the game, but the guy's shooting like 20-something% on threes this year. It's fucking terrible. He's worse than Zoe was in Zoe's rookie year. Get him with Fred Vinson early. Jackson Hayes' ability to knock down shots, I think, is highly underrated. You took him 10, develop him. Get him out there, have him take some shots. Zion, he got to be better on that perimeter. Like, get him on the mid-range jump or something. We got to get them on a shoot and die plan, okay? That has to happen this offseason. Regardless of if Zoe is there or not, that's how this team is going to get better. If you're going to play through Zion and these guys in the future, you got to develop them like they are. But anyways, that's all I got. I hope you have a good one. Peace.